Hey, how you doing? Hope you all are doing great. As you've seen in the thumbnail, in this video, we're going to see what if Naruto got into harem with Zelda. This is part 7, and before getting into video, I request you to check the author of this fanfic and show some love and support. Name of the story is The Legend of Zelda, Twilight Princess Tremor 230 style by Tremor 230, do check it. All details in description. And if you want next part of this series, please leave a like, share, and consider subscribe. Let's get into the video. Also check out Patreon for uncensored spicy content. Link in description. Naruto was at the moment amassing rupees in a wide box in the hands of the old Gorin stationed in the corner of the young kid's shop with an amused, yet annoyed, smile on his face. 998, 999, 1,000. With this you should have enough to help rebuild the bridge and start the Castle Town branch of your shop, right? He asked, shaking his head. Glorious day. We have collected enough funds to finance repairs to the bridge connecting West Castletown to Hyrule Fields. Brudda. The old Gorin answered, excited. Those corrupt, price-gouging shops in Castletown are officially on notice. Soon they will rue. And all thanks to you. Malo added with his usual stoic expression. And I pretend to have an everlasting bonus discount on the merchandise since I am unleashing you on them. Really? When I was your age, I preferred going around pranking people, not setting up a franchise as a cutthroat businessman. Naruto answered, sighing. Same here, but with archery lessons instead of pranks, Midna added from the shinobi's shoulder. That can be done. 30% max, not more. Malo answered, nodding nonplussed. You won't even answer to my calling you a money-hungry bastard? The blonde asked, snorting. To each his own. We reached our development goal thanks to you, so I am still grateful. The kid answered, nonplussed. Don't worry, brudda. We are not strangling people in there too. We will sell good products but with discounted prices. The Gorin added, smiling. Sigh. I'll hold you on that. How's Ilya? Malo asked. Pretty well. Now that she knows I am fine, she seems more relaxed, he answered, smirking. Everyone would be with regular booty call. Utsukushi answered, amused. You weren't complaining last night. Utsu-chan. Yes. I seem to remember your loud declaring about how good it was. Midna added mentally. Talks the one howling like a bitch in heat. The vixen answered, furious. I didn't howl. That was you. The twily imp countered, frowning. I still don't get from where your new friend comes. Naruto. Malo said, curious. She comes from far away, and even if small and cute, she is also a kick-ass friend, Naruto answered proudly as he walked outside. As soon as the door closed, and the two were far enough, the small twily imp chuckled loudly and slapped the back of her companion's head. Do not overdo in compliments, Midna said, amused. So you didn't like? He replied, pouting sadly. I never said that. She answered, giving a small kiss to his temple. But this doesn't mean you'll get a kiss every time you do say those things. Oh, okay. Although, yes, Midna-chan, I wouldn't be against the idea of a compliment or two leaving your mouth from time to time, as a way for you to show that you comprehend my greatness, the small girl said. Suyer, I'll keep that in mind. The shinobi replied, snorting. Was that irony I just heard? No. He answered with a clearly fake expression of innocence. You fool. Midna huffed with crossed arms as she floated away. Aw, Soe Midna-chan. Naruto pleaded. No, I am angry at you. She answered, turning around to give him the cold shoulder. You won't forgive me? Even if I do this? This? She asked without turning around. This what? She said, finally looking back to glare at him. In that moment, his lips covered hers in a fast kiss, making her face burn dark green in a fierce blush. TCH, that's your way to calm me down? I have the royalties on that. The tin-tailed vixen said, annoyed. This? Still angry? He said smugly. Another one, just to be sure, she muttered. I'll give you all the kisses you want, Midna-chan. The shinobi answered, smiling. Jirrrr, really? Real MPHU. He could barely answer before the small imp pounced on him. Meanwhile, Hyrule Castletown, Ajitha's castle. The young woman was still listening to the lessons her bug friends were giving her while taking notes when the door to her castle when opened harshly by a scowling Jiraiya. Yes? The girl asked calmly, yet visibly offended at the interruption. I finally discovered that you know where Naruto is. And before you try fooling me again, I'll tell you that I know that more than once he came here as well. He is not conspicuous with his new friend mounting his shoulder all the time. Where is he? The spy master demanded. Now see here, you brute. I never fooled you. Agatha huffed with her hands on her hips and narrowed eyes. Yes, you did. Zora penises. I mean, just. Just that you gave me wrong directions that lead to annoying situations. Jiraiya answered with a shrieking scream, only to try and cover his reaction with a calmer one once seen her recoiling. Very well then, even should I know where my future king is. Why would I tell you? Agatha asked with crossed arms. Future king? The other repeated, dumbstruck. He is the king sage of toads, so I as the queen of bugs have called dibs on him the moment I saw him for the first time, and my friends confirmed it themselves about us being destined to each other. She replied, making the bugs near her nod emphatically. What's with the brat attracting chicks left, right, and center ever since he came here? First the girl from the farms, then a flock of Zora girls, then the fan club of Hyrule Castletown girls that formed as soon as he dominated that star game, then the Goron girl daughter of the tribe chief, and the maiden she was choosing for the traditional Goron wedding night. She was obviously not preparing because she doesn't like him damned Sundaras. And now the girl with the everlasting dreamy expression that thinks she can talk with bugs and be their queen. Although both she and the bugs have a feeling similar to nature chakra coming off of them, admittedly. The shinobi of Konoha thought in dismay. Say, Agatha asked while looking at her notes. Yes, let's pretend I know where my king went, and I am open to share the knowledge. She said, walking closer. Okay? Jiraiya said, leaning closer, eager to listen. Would you answer few questions of mine in exchange? I am taking lessons from my friends, and I got some key details I still don't understand. I am not from around here. Jiraiya replied, annoyed. But you are a pervert, right? A super one? And how do you know that? The man asked, suspicious. My friends the ladybug said so. Beezy. The bugs replied with a clear nod. Okay, I saw Aburim clan members do the same. So in hindsight, she may be far related to them. There is no other explanation for her ability with bugs. The old man thought, sighing. Okay. You need someone to give you the talk? He asked, bored, wondering idly why people always asked him about that if they knew he was a pervert. Not that. I need clarifications. The girl said angrily. Okay. What do you need? The other said, growling. Let's see. Agatha muttered, flipping through the pages of her notepad. Is bukkake for when he comes inside your mouth or on your face? She asked with an angelic, innocent smile. Oh, God. Jiraiya whimpered as he backed away. Wait, I'm not done. Those anal beads. How many is the limit? And the ideal size? No. Not Grass Village again. The spy master whimpered. He already saw this happen. A young girl nearing him because a fan of Ikaika, even if too young to read the books. Then would come the parents yelling in indignation and the screams of pedophile. Then the girl asking for details, and everyone else believing he was trying to seduce a girl nearly 1/3 of his age. And then there will be the digging of the holes to hide the bodies before running away. Will I get pregnant if he comes in my butt? Does it hurt always or only the first time? Is lube really necessary for anal? The girl kept asking, walking closer to him, until the spy master found himself with his back glued to the wall. Repress the memories. Remember what the doctor said and repress the memories. Grass Village never happened. You never went there in your life. The very pale man thought like a mantra. Oh. I almost forgot to ask the most important one. What does sperm actually taste like? Agatha asked cutely. Kaioea. With a high-pitched scream, Jiraiya ran for the door, only for a cloud of luminescent bugs to close it. As if I would have helped you find Naruto, Agatha said darkly as the buzzing of bugs grew to deafening levels. You do not scare me, little girl, Jiraiya said, taking a fighting stance. I have something even you will fear. I will never tell you where my king is. The young girl hissed. Something even I fear? Do not joke, Agatha-san. There is nothing I fear. Except yaoi. And Zora penises and oh. That didn't happen. Jiraiya answered bravely, then spiraling into mad rambling for an instant, and then recovering all in the span of few seconds. Yes, I have instead. The bees. The queen of bugs said as those bugs flew inside from the windows and towards him like a thick cloud. Not the bees. Not the bees. Aya. I-H-A-V-M on my eyes. The eyes. Aya. Jiraiya screamed as he leaped out of the window to run away, screaming through the streets of Castletown, closely chased by the bees. That was overly dramatic. Wait, he never answered my questions. In an NGH. Damn it. she said before growing angry and stomping down with her foot in her childish tantrum. Tell the bees to sting him on his penis too, so he will learn to never mistreat a fine lady such as me or leave without helping me first, she ordered to one of her bugs. Beesy. The small thing replied, shrugging as it flew outside to follow the girl's orders. Kaya, good job, Agitha said, giggling pleased. Back with Naruto, Lake Hylia. Several minutes later, in an isolated clearing with no one around, the sky soon darkened and a hole appeared between the clouds to let a smoke-like cloud of black particles fly down to compact into the shape of a big nine-tailed fox, soon joined by a twily imp smiling wide. See? You actually enjoy traveling like this. No need to hide it, Midna said, watching her mount transform into Naruto as soon as Utsukushi returned the shard of Xant's magic to its isolation inside her. Okay. It is a fast way to get around, I admit it. Now, where does Oru said he will wait for us? The blonde asked, looking around. In the letter he sent us, he says to look for an ancient tower. He is waiting for us up there to talk, Midna answered while waving around the short letter they got from the postman as she returned to sit on the blonde's shoulder. Like that one? Naruto said, pointing at the tall thing standing isolated and surveying the lake. Seems like a good candidate. Let's check it out. Utsukushi answered, nodding. A short run and fast tree walking used later, and the young man and small imp saw a tall old man standing alone on top of the tower using a pair of binoculars. Ora-san? Naruto asked, taking away the hawk mask and hood. Yes, and you're Master Naruto. Is it? The other answered, turning to look at the blonde. Yes. I get Telma told you who I am then? That is right. I am part of the group that Telma kindly allows to meet at her bar, and I was told everything about you and your mission. So this letter is yours then? It is. I have heard all about your deeds from her, so I thought it was time for us to meet and sent you a letter. I didn't know you were so close, though. You came here very fast. The old man answered, impressed. I happen to know how to travel fast, but you said you needed my help, and that is why we should have met here. What do you need? Naruto said, walking next to the man, so that both could see the faraway desert lands ahead. Right to the point, very well. Now, you being a courageous youth, you have likely heard from the others of the strange events in the desert? No? Oru asked. I was told you were very worried about that. You wanted to go there to check? The blonde asked. We have more pressing matters. We have to take down the barrier around Zelda's castle. Utsukushi said in angry annoyance. We too need to go in that desert for that reason. Utsukushi. Now be quiet, Midna mentally answered in annoyance. Yes. The Gerudo Desert once held a prison built to hold the worst criminals this land has ever known. The criminals who were sentenced to death were sent directly to the underworld by a cursed mirror that was kept in the prison. The old man explained, making Midna let out a subtle growl. You okay, little one? Oru asked, confused. Just keep talking, I am fine. The small girl answered coldly, growing relieved when Naruto gave the shoulder. She was sitting on a shrug to attract her attention and flash her a reassuring smile. Okay, as I was saying, now that prison is condemned and even the road leading to the desert is impassable, this desert at World's End, it still holds the cursed mirror and the malice of the doomed inmates. So what do you suggest me to do? Naruto asked, crossing his arms. Sigh. I don't know. The other admitted, sighing in defeat. You don't? These old bones know that the evil currently plaguing Hyrule is related to this wicked place. So I have come to learn the truth. But you know that as for now, you wouldn't be able to last long in there, and that you needed help from someone else, so you decided to ask me. Naruto said, passing a hand through his hair. Yes, Master Naruto, and I must ask, what will you do now? Will you help me? Can you confirm my suspicions with your own eyes? Oru asked. Sigh. I have to go there for my own reasons, so I think I can investigate for you as well. Naruto answered, sighing. Thank you, Master Naruto. Then please let good old Aura help you out. How? Minna asked, curious. You see Lake Hylia below us, little miss? Oru answered, pointing at the lake. Hua, a man named Fire runs an amusement ride of sorts there. Give him this, and you will see, he said, taking out of his pocket piece of paper, neatly folded to hand it to Naruto. What's this? Naruto asked. A memo that will gain you Fire's help. You see, long ago, I saved his life, and now he cannot refuse me if I ask a favor. Oru answered, chuckling. Oh, the blonde said, pocketing the small thing. If you leave the rest up to Fire, all should go well. Should? Midna asked, smirking. There is nothing certain in this world, Mississippi. Just give my note to Fire. That man will then do the rest. This is my help to your journey. He answered with a gentle smile. Thank you, Oru. I'll let you know if I discover anything. Naruto answered, shaking the man's hand. I will leave everything in your hands then, Master Naruto. The man replied, nodding in relief and watching the blonde fearlessly jump down the tower to run towards Fire at inhuman speed. With Naruto, oi, FYR, the blonde called out, making the clown-dressed man look at him. HRRM, I need a favor. Oru said to give you this, the other said, showing him the note. From old Oru. Huh? Oh well, I guess I ought to do what the old coot says. Fire said, shrugging and entering inside the floating funhouse to fumble with its cogs and settings. Old coot? He is no kid either, Midna muttered, snorting and making her companion chuckle in answer. Yep, it's pretty important stuff, Fire, Naruto said loudly, so to be heard by the old man. I bet it is Oasis flight, right? Fire asked. I guess why? You can add other places? We tried to see if we could shot someone on the moon. Too much power required, and it burned the mannequin we used to test it to a crisp. The other answered, shrugging, while still tinkering with the cannon. Yikes! The blonde muttered, grimacing. Here you go, one of our secret options, not available to the general public. Fire said, sighing as he walked back to stand in front of Naruto. Thank you. What do I owe you? This time's all paid for, what I say. Ready to go? I am ready. Just do not shot me on another planet. The blonde replied, chuckling as he walked inside. Not funny, boyo. All right then, but remember, next time, you gotta pay. Fire answered just as the door finished closing behind the former shinobi. Good thing we will probably use your twilight portals for future trips there then, Midna-chan. The blonde muttered, chuckling. Cheap boy. She answered, amused. Sweet sailing, buddy of mine. I hope it won't blow up this time. The old man muttered, crossing his fingers. Blow up. Naruto shrieked from inside the cannon. One for Oasis. Fire in the hole. Fire yelled as the ceiling of the floating house opened to show the huge cannon hidden inside that turned to point towards the desert to shot the young man with a deafening boom. Aye, here we are to you. Naruto's furious scared scream echoed in the whole area, making everyone listening cringe. Yep, gotta remember to dodge the boy next time, or he'll make me fly to the desert by kicking my ass. Fire muttered, shaking his head. Few seconds later, Gerudo Desert, landing zone. It was thanks to a timely use of shadow clones acting as mattress that Naruto could land somehow softly without injuring himself, instead of grating his whole body on the sand, toppling for who knows how long at the impact. Now I see why it is still not openly presented. They must be still working on the landing. Midna said, coming out from the blonde shadow, where she had been hiding as soon as the duo had entered the cannon. That, and the blowing up issue. Utsukushi added. Do not remind me of that, so? Is this the place? Naruto asked, crumbling. Seems so, Midna answered, sitting on his shoulder with a suffered sigh. What's wrong? Before we go on, there's something I want you to hear. The small girl said, uneasy as she floated forward to stand in front of him with her back turned to him. Midna, do you remember what the spirit said about the fused shadow? She asked with a low voice. It was not full of praises, but as I already told you, I don't care. I personally am not different from those relics. I too can be considered a threat. Jinchuriki like me have already been used as weapons in the past, and not always for rightful reasons either. The blonde answered, walking closer to her and forcing her to turn around so to look in her eyes. And what do you think happened to the magic wielders who tried to rule the sacred realm? Midna asked, surprised to feel his hand cupping her cheek lovingly and moving her own hand over his to lightly grab it. You don't need to tell me, the young man replied, making her shake her head. You need to know. The imp girl answered. They were banished, don't they? Naruto finally said, sighing. Just like you. They were chased across the sacred lands of Hyrule and driven into another realm by the goddesses. Midna said, nodding. Up in heaven, for all that is worth. Little one, we do not consider your people as culprit as the first ones we banished. Din said, saddened. Your ancestors were culprits of great crimes, but we do not, nor ever will, consider said crime valid for the following generations as well. Nehru added, nodding. Shall the time come, we will offer our apologies, should we find your hearts repenting from the past sins. Farah decided, making her sisters nod. Back in Hyrule, with Naruto and Midna, where did they send them? Naruto asked. It was another world entirely, the antithesis of Hyrule, where the sun shines bright. The Twilight Realm. Utsukushi said in realization. Yes, its denizens became shadows that could not mingle with the light. Eventually, most came to call it like that. And from it, none could return to the world of light. Midna explained, admittedly letting out a tiny gasp as her companion hugged her tightly. I am here, the former shinobi said gently. They were forever doomed to live in the twilight, flitting in the half-light of dusk, mere shadows of Hyrule. She kept saying. In truth, Naruto didn't need to hear that. To him, Midna was Midna, and so he was already ready to give her and her people a chance instead of immediately believing them to be evil. But he knew that the confession was more for the girl herself than him, that she needed to tell him, either to test him or to finally take away the weight of that confession from her chest. Midna-chan, he muttered, caressing her back. This is the history of the Twilight as it has been passed down from our ancestors. Do you now understand what I am? I'm a descendant of the tribe that was banished to the Twilight Realm. She screamed in sorrow as she looked up at him. So what? Naruto asked back with a gentle smile. Twilight Hylian shinobi. To me, it's the same. There are good guys and there are bastards, and then there are monsters like that Zant team and the bigger bastard behind him. Your ancestors may have been banished because they did what they did. But Midna-chan is Midna-chan, and this for me will never change. Not with all the trouble I had to go through to learn how to deal with you. Biba, or even to finally learn to love you. He then added with his smile, turning more mischievous. But even our dear jealous furball likes you. No, I don't. Utsukushi. Sigh. Okay. Fine. I too started enjoying having you around. So cheer up. Utsukushi begrudgingly admitted, sighing. All Midna could muster at that was a subtle, strangled whimper. Do not cry. Don't go out of character, he said playfully as he could see the first sign of moisture appear on her uncovered eye. I'm not going out of character. I am still me. Nothing strange happened. I don't know what you were talking about, she answered with her voice muffled by her burying her face on his shoulder. After that, he just waited there while hugging her, pretending her shivers and small hiccups were not happening, nor that his shoulder was feeling wetter than when he arrived. Several minutes later, you okay? Naruto asked as he was once again running at top speed, dashing through the imposing dunes of the Gerudo Desert unopposed by nature of monsters alike. I will be, thank you, Midna answered while still sitting on his shoulder and a little embarrassed by her emotional moment. How was the Twilight Realm? Before all this mess started, it was a peaceful place, until Zant took control of the Twilight Realm and transformed all of the Twilight into shadow beasts, that is. Shadow beasts? Does it mean? The blonde asked in horror. Those you fought were far too gone. I could feel it. In their case, there was no longer hope for them to return to normal, as their mind was no longer there. Only pure animal instinct and submission to Zant. I'll warn you if we encounter some that can still be saved, so you can just knock them out. Midna answered, patting his shoulder. Okay, thank you. But how did that guy manage to do all that? You yourself said he was not using Twilight magic last time we met him. Utsukushi asked, confused. I know, but it's clear to me now that he somehow gained a great evil power previously unknown to our tribe. Whoever his master/lord is, they must be the ones that helped him. Midna answered with narrowed eyes and growling voice. So you escaped when he firstly attacked? The blonde shinobi asked, sidestepping a bulblin and kicking both creature and the bulbo it was riding against a makeshift watchtower of wood, demolishing it in a rain of splinters. Not exactly. I was sent here from the Twilight Realm and could no longer get back in there without his power. But I, and you too, have a way around it now. The imp girl answered. That Twilight mirror you talked about. Naruto said, yes, since Zant took away the fuse shadow when he ambushed us in the Spirit Spring, we will need that mirror to find him. It's one of the tales told by my people. Though the goddesses forbade us to return to the world of light, they left one link between the light and the darkness. Something called the Mirror of Twilight that was passed to the protectors of Hyrule. She explained, they probably thought that someday there would have been an emergency that would have required the help of the Twilight, or maybe it was a way of theirs to say that they were giving your people a last chance instead of fully cutting you others off from this world, the tin-tailed vixen offered. I would love to believe that. The fact remains that the mirror is our only path to the Twilight Realm, and we must get there. Midna said in determination, and we will do just that. I am with you. Naruto answered, equally determined. I know, and I thank you for it. She answered with a grateful smile. Later that night, now for once I think I will go stealth, the blonde shinobi whispered as he used the hawk mask zooming powers to scan the round of bulblins guarding the blocked road towards the Colosseum like building Midna pointed him towards. You think you'll be able? The imp girl asked, curious as she floated near his head. I am still a ninja. We usually start throwing around flashy attacks when we are discovered by either guards or enemy ninjas, but until that happens we are pretty damn good at staying hidden, he answered pouting. You wear an orange jumpsuit and a red coat, and yet you would be amazed by his ability to remain unseen. The Bijou Vixen answered, smirking proudly. Thank you. Whenever you want, honey. The humanized-tailed beast answered, winking. Moving stealthily, Midna had to secretly admit, as she stood hidden inside his shadow, really was in his abilities as he moved without making the faintest noise through the dunes to go near the bulblin guards, even using his hinge to turn into one of them to better move around. Spotting a faint shining from a sleeping bulblin pocket, the hinged Naruto cautiously and discreetly moved closer, glad to see a tiny key hanging from the beast's belt, and subsequently cursing mentally when the guy rolled to the side to cover the little thing with his whole body. Come on, bastard. Do not ruin my moment with this. I want to show that I can enter in other ways other than smashing everything down. The shinobi growled as he tried to move the bulblin to free the key without waking him up and stopping when the grumbling creature automatically shoved him away without waking up. Gore! Growling in anger, the blonde was about to kick the guy into oblivion when he saw the giant boar roasting over a campfire barely few feet away, and so developing a wide and fanged smirk. Once took a whole leg of the thing and made sure only bones were left behind. Once sealed away every ounce of meat of the thing, he moved the roasted boar under the sleeping bulblin's nose, making it turn around and droll, all the while remaining deeply asleep. Here. Good boy. Now gimme that key. Naruto muttered, satisfied, as the snoring creature moved to hug the meat possessively to his chest with a happy smile, while the shinobi took away the key. Why did you take the whole boar? And why leave the bones behind? Midna asked as soon as the blonde dropped the hinge and was in an area isolated enough for her to come out. Distraction, he replied smugly. Distraction? The small girl repeated, confused. Cry-wapa. As to answer her aloud. Furious scream reached her ears, soon followed by similar screams, and then the noise of a brawl starting. Distraction. Naruto replied, snorting. A great part of the guards will be too occupied with beating the supposed meat thief to notice possible intruders, especially discreet ones like us. Utsukushi said, amused. Ooh. Mina said, nodding. Some time later, still laughing merrily on the notes of the poor bulblin being turned into a paste by his companions, the duo finally managed to pass the abandoned ruins leading to the entrance that would hopefully bring them closer to the Mirror of Twilight. What is this growl? Naruto asked as a faraway bestial growl echoed towards them as soon as they entered, making the ancient walls tremble and dust fall from the ceiling. I have no idea, Midna answered while looking around. Want to bet that whatever it is, it will be the boss of this place? Utsukushi said, groaning. Very possible. The former shinobi replied, sighing. Do not be so melodramatic. Even should this be true, I bet you won't have a problem fighting it. The imp girl answered, shrugging. Especially since we will soon find the right gadget to defeat it right in this dungeon. The ten-tailed vixen added, smirking. It is not the norm, she screeched in answer. Then what about the underwater temple? Coincidences, she replied, crossing her arms. And the Gorn mines before that? Chance. And what about the bow and boomerang? Providence? The small girl tried, saying weakly. Enough of this, girls. Let's focus on this new dungeon. Naruto said, sighing. You'll see that I am right. We'll find the right gadget to defeat the boss this time too. Utsukushi said with a sing-song voice. HN, we won't instead. Furball. Because it is not the norm here in Hyrule. I don't care about that detail, but what I want to know is where are we exactly? He asked, looking around. Yeah, it was something about an arbiter? Stuff like that. Midna muttered, unsure and scrunching her face in thought. You are in the arbiter's grounds. Thank you, Hiroshige. What the fuck are you doing here? Naruto yelled while pointing an accusing finger at the luminescent wolf. I was watching you to see how you were doing. Hua. The shinobi answered with narrowed eyes and crossed arms. And I was feeling a tad alone, okay? The wolf admitted while looking down shyly. Why you have not passed over? You taught everything you know to Naruto. What's holding you here? Midna asked, huffing. I too thought that teaching him would have been enough, but I am still here. Maybe I'll need to see you defeat the great evil plaguing Hyrule to finally rest in peace. The Shade answered unsure. Then stick around if you have to. I don't mind. Thank you. Why are you following me? Naruto asked, slowly turning around to look at the Shade walking right beside him. You said that I could stick around. The other replied, annoyed. But I didn't mean that you can literally follow me everywhere. The blonde yelled, furious. Too late now. I already took my decision, but you emit light. It will attract too much attention. What about this? The Shade answered as his light faded until his fur turned normal, only with a dull shade of gold as its color. Still too much eye-catching, Midna said, grumbling. You ride a shoulder and are a twily. He already has someone unique hanging around him. What's one more? The wolf answered, unconcerned. Fine, whatever. Do you at least have a name? Naruto asked, sighing in defeat. I have one that you know very well. Link. The wolf said with a sad-sounding chuckle. The blood of the hero is something my ancestors had, and that my descendant as well had. There had always been a link surfacing whenever the need of a hero of courage arose, and there will always be one, in a way or another. That's why I was especially shocked when I heard about my last descendant pass away before I could pass my knowledge on to him, or for him to actually fight evil. Hero of courage? You mean this? The blonde asked, showing the Triforce mark on his hand. In a sense. So, shall we go? Link said as he jumped on one of the lonely platforms of rock remaining from the collapsed floor of the ancient room, now covered mostly by puddles of quicksands. In a sense? What does that mean? And what will you do once we have defeated Zant and his master? Are there any more descendant of yours? Midna asked as Naruto jumped on the same platform that started to sink down at the new weight stepping on it, forcing both to rapidly jump on more solid ground. I just mean that sooner or later there will be new descendants for me to smile upon from the heavens. The blood of the hero never truly dies. At best it changes hosts, so I'll just need to wait. Link answered while flashing an amused smile at Midna and Naruto. Weirdo. The imp girl muttered, shrugging. It's a pity this place is reduced like this. Will everything be covered by quicksands eventually? Naruto asked as he finally found the right lever to open the gate towards the inside of the Arbiter's grounds. The place is mostly sinking into the desert because left abandoned for centuries, so yes. Oh, and be careful. This place is full of skeleton guards, so navigating here won't be an easy task. The wolf answered, uncaring. Skeleton guards, yikes. The shinobi asked, shrieking when a skeletal hand holding a sword burst out from the sand, trying to skewer him, and soon followed by the rest of the body. Is this the welcome party of this place? Utsukushi asked as 6 skeletons brandishing lances and swords circled Naruto and Link. Were you expecting tea and scones, Miss Vixen? The ghostly wolf answered, growling at the skeletons and receiving similar growls in answer. For once? Yes, I did. The human-looking Biju answered. Well, if you have done, I have shit to do, so I don't want to waste time. Naruto answered, punching the undead guard in front of him on the chest area, making its old bones explode to dust, leaving the head fall down, clattering on the floor. Okay, I didn't think I punched that hard. The blonde muttered while looking at his fist in surprise. It's the Triforce shard inside you. It gives you a big boost in power. It will take a while to get used to it, hero of power. Link answered as he pounced on a near guard to bite its skull to bits. Hero of power? The shinobi asked, bending down to evade a spear thrust, and then elbow the skeleton holding it on the spine, breaking it in half. I thought I was the new hero of courage. You said so a minute ago. I can recognize its feeling as I used to be one of its vessels. You have not the courage side of the Triforce. The wolf replied, sidestepping a shield bash attack to tear of a bony leg, making the guard crash down and sink into quicksands. Then who has it? Midna asked, annoyed as her zone enlarged to paralyze 3 undead for Naruto to turn to bits with a single Rasengan. You who else? Link answered, amused, as the last guard fell to a joint attack of the blonde and hero Shade. And me? The imp girl yelled, pointing at her own face. Stop hiding it. I can tell you have it. The wolf replied simply. Midna? Naruto asked, confused. Sigh. I found this on my hand after you almost killed yourself healing me. She admitted as a patch of skin on the back of her hand changed color to show a gray tattoo of the Triforce mark. Hello. Of course. You were about to die, but instead of giving in to fear, you did your best to make me meet Zelda so that I could know where to look for the Twilight Mirror without even thinking about being healed. Naruto said with a sad smile. That, and you're refusing every time Zant proposed an alliance, even knowing he was stronger than you and could kill you whenever he wanted. That time in the Spirit Spring was not the first time you faced him about joining forces, right? Utsukushi added. Yeah, the short girl answered. See? Naruto here never was the hero of courage. At the death of my descendant, the goddess of courage was already looking for a new champion. But when the time of judgment came, Mistress didn't choose him for her mark as hero of power. So far or choose the second best candidate for hers. You. Every time the holder of one shard appears, the other two too are chosen, so to preserve equilibrium. Always. Link said as the group entered a new room. Wasn't in the name of that spirit that modified your coat to make you breath underwater? Utsukushi asked confused. They probably have the same name as a way to honor the goddess, like with the Light Guardians. Naruto offered unsure. Why you were hiding it? Link asked Midna. I didn't want to attract further attention on us, so I tried to use my powers to mask the shard's presence. But if you could sense it all the same, then Zant too may be able, and by proxy his master as well. So there is no use to it apparently. She replied, sighing annoyed. It's a great honor being a chosen. Never see it as a burden. Their power will help us greatly in our journey. Link offered with an encouraging tone. Our journey will be really short if we don't find a key, guys. Naruto said, pointing with a thumb to the ridiculous amount of chains that were keeping the only door in the room bolted close. Do not worry. They usually do this to stop evil from coming out, not heroes from going inside. There should be a key somewhere, class. Whatever. Rasengan. Boom. You do not always do that whenever you visit a dungeon, right? Link asked as he watched the blonde's jutsu destroy door and part of the wall, leaving behind a perfectly spherical hole. Yup. I don't always want to waste time looking for keys, or levers or pressure plates for that matter, unless I need to open the boss room. Like this, it's easier. Why? You never tried it when you were the hero? The other answered, entering while happily humming a little song. No, I never did that. Although, I did used to bring with me dozens of different bombs. Trying to use one instead of using a key, it would have helped me saving time in my quest. The wolf admitted as he trotted behind the shinobi. Now I wish you had bought that lantern when we started. Midna admitted, huffing as complete darkness welcomed them in the new room. Better like this? Link said as his fur returned to emit light strongly enough to help the others see. Do not preen, you mangy dog. Naruto answered, grumbling. I am not preening. The wolf answered without dropping his smug expression. TCH. Both human and Twily sneered in answer. How do we open that gate? Utsukushi asked. Light the torches, it will unlock the door. Link answered. How's that supposed to work? Skeletons. Midna said, alarmed, as new undead surfaced from under the sand. Again? Fine. Since they are all lined up, I'll do both things at the same time. Ketan. Karyuenden. Fire element. Fire dragon flame missile. The blonde shinobi yelled, taking in a huge breath to blow out a thick wall of fire that incinerated the skeletons and lighted up the torches, making the now half-melted gate rise to free the door. That was an impressive display of magic, Link admitted. That's what I call killer breath instead, Midna said, amused. Hey, Naruto said, offended. Ooh, I was joking. Don't be angry, she said, baby talking him. No, Ivanuokish. Okay, you dummy. The imp answered, chuckling as she kissed his cheek. Either go all the way or keep moving. We have no time to waste. Link said, annoyed. Oh, okay, Naruto said, unbuckling his pants. I never thought you were a voyeur, Midna added as she floated down to help him lower his pants. I was joking. The wolf shrieked in horror. Zayap. We too. Both droned unconvincingly while hastily adjusting the blonde's pants. The next room was a very wide one, dominated by an imposing, albeit short, staircase leading to a huge door with in front of it 4 short pillars with an eerie-looking bluish flame burning on top of them, giving the whole room a faint blue tint along, making every shadow even more creepy-looking. I don't like those torches, Naruto admitted, at seeing that the 4 blue flames were actually lacking any apparent form of wood or oil helping them burn, but were just hovering on top of the naked rock by themselves. Something's coming, the wolf warned with a furious growl. At that, 4 lanterns were seen float by themselves to steal the blue flame from the dishes those were in, making the tall gate slam down to close the door. What the po ghosts? Link growled as the lighted lanterns now circled them. Ghosts? Naruto asked. Wandering spirits. Evil ones. The hero Shade answered. I can't see them. Turn into a fox and use your animal instinct to see and attack them. Utsukushi, the shinobi said as his body instantly turned into his nine-tailed fox one. And there he finally saw them. Rotting flesh, empty eye sockets, and dirty white robes. Raving spirits snarling and gnashing their rotten teeth, while wildly flailing around the lanterns they were holding as they tried to hit both Shinobi and Hero Shade. Rhea! With a double battle cry, both transformed heroes pounced on the first spirit, ready to recover the stolen flame to reopen the gate. Meanwhile, Elemental Nations, Konoha, Tsunade's office. At the same time Naruto and Link were hunting down ghosts, Tsunade was having a secret meeting with the Kazekage of Sunagara, and neither of the two were showing any sign of being relaxed. Still nothing? Gaara asked stiffly. Nothing. Nada. Completely disappeared from the face of the earth, as if the very ground opened to swallow him whole. The Hokage answered unwavering. You are hiding some key details. Your spy master disappeared as well, so he must know where Naruto is, and that means you two know that little piece of info. Temari said with narrowed eyes. You have no proofs. Tsunade growled in answer. Your answer is already half a confirmation. Kinkuru replied, crossing his arms. He is a dear friend of mine. I have every right to know. Where is he hiding? Or do you already have him back and are keeping him hidden somewhere under who knows what drugs and or seals? The Kazekage hissed furious as the sand of his gourd started stirring awake, his words making his siblings too take a not-so-subtle ready stance. He is not in Konoha or anywhere else in the Elemental Nations, but I cannot tell you where he is. Why not? Gaara roared, slamming his fist on the desk. He is angry at us. He believes we are hunting him down, and he is throwing a tantrum. A tantrum? At that, the whole gourd literally exploded, and the sand in it covered the whole room, pinning down the few hidden ANBU in a crushing hold. You are taking this as the acting up of a whining baby, of a spoiled toddler. He hissed while ignoring the whimpering of his captives. Let them go this instant. Tsunade ordered. No, I'm just throwing a tantrum. Gaara said coldly as the sand slowly started constricting the masked shinobi until the subdued noise of bones breaking started echoing in the office. You worms betrayed his trust. You forced me to cave in and accept everybody else's demands, and so sending the first friend I ever had a way to appease the masses. And when he finally couldn't take it anymore and decided to take back his life somewhere else, you called it a tantrum instead of admitting your mistake. Gaara, Temari said, grabbing his shoulder in a gentle hold. He wouldn't want you to do this, she begged. Do you really believe to be innocent in this? That he will really come back smiling as if nothing happened? The Kazekage asked with unblinking eyes as he glared at Tsunade. He will come back to us. He must. He is a shinobi. It's his duty. The woman muttered, looking away. For once in your miserable life, right here and right now, tell the truth. We are sorry and we want him back. We want him to forgive us as always. He can't go anywhere else. He can't stay anywhere else. His place is here with us. With me. Tsunade finally admitted, deflating in her seat. He holds the Jubi, a 10-tailed Biju. He is the only remaining true Jinchuriki. He can't return as Suna. Konoha and Spring won't be able to protect him if he comes back. Too many people will do their damn best to have him work for them, whatever he wants to or not. And you people clearly made sure he would think even us would be trying that if he comes back. Kinkuru said while the sand finally receded, making the heavily wounded ANBU fall down unconscious. T the coma. It's a stupid plan, and you know it. One strong enough to trap him would also be unstable enough to be broken just as easily, and before that, he would be an even easier target to kidnap as he would not fight back, and probably easy to brainwash too in that state. Temari answered, shaking her head ruefully. The Senju clan being closely tied to his is not a secret. You are doing all this not for the village, not for his friends, and sure as hell not for his sake. You are doing this for yourself only. Kankuru added, making the Hokage flinch minutely. We did our homework as soon as Jiraiya too disappeared. Dan, Nawaki, Minato, Kushina, Hiruzen, Hashirama-sama, Tobirama-sama. All dead. Except for Naruto, the last family member you have, and directly or indirectly linked to all of those I mentioned already. If he too is gone. You are alone. And you hate that. Gaara said with a low voice. Where is he? He finally asked again. Tsunade simply shook her head in the negative, making the Kazekage let out a frustrated roar before storming out of the office. I am giving you 24 hours to tell me. Then I will cut any alliance we had and be done with the lot of you. I don't care if it will weaken my village considerably. The young man sentenced, slamming the door closed as soon as he and his siblings left the office. I can't. Not now. Not until Naruto has calmed down. Tsunade muttered in defiant stubbornness. Quarter outside the Hokage office. Find the members of Jiraiya's spy network. Take every man and woman and squeeze out of their heads every info they have. Check every town, village, port, boat, ship, shack, forest, cave, desert, lake. Upturn every rock and tear down every damn door and wall you see. I don't care how, but you have to look everywhere. We are ninja. We are good at hiding secrets and even better at uncovering them. That old man has left behind traces somewhere. Even he can't hide everything. Gaara hissed, furious. Okay. Kankuro answered, nodding in determination. What about Naruto's old friends and teammates? Temaru asked. Interrogate, follow, spy, and threaten the lot of them. As for now, they are not friends of Naruto. They are just possible leads and will be treated as such. Once done that, take every scrap of info you get from them and dissect every word. If we are lucky, 100th of what they will tell us will be close enough to the truth. The Kazekage answered. What do you mean? As his friends, they will be the first source of info others will look for, meaning that they will either purposely let slip fake details or had been unknowingly fed lies about where Naruto is or has been seen. And I fear we won't be the only ones making this assumption, Kankuro answered. Then it will be especially difficult to discover where our friend is hiding. The Wind Mistress admitted, sighing. He is hiding in a land called Hyrule. Shizen muttered as she joined them. Where? Gaara whispered, once made sure no one was listening. Hyrule, another continent several weeks away from here on boat. Jiraiya-sama managed to follow the scarce traces Naruto-kun left behind before erasing those two himself. He has been hunting him down ever since, and I fear that helped cement his decision to never come back, just as well as the banishment itself. The woman answered with a sob, breaking her tone every now and then. Why are you helping us? Why should we believe you? Gaara asked. Because I can't wait any longer. Tsunade-sama and the others took the worst possible approach to this, and are stupidly waiting for Naruto to be the one contacting them to do the first step and forgive them even before they could beg him to, as always. Just because they are afraid or too damn stubborn to admit their mistake. Shizen admitted, almost in tears. You want him back? Temari asked with narrowed eyes. I want him happy. I want him to be safe where no one will ever bother him, and I want him to forgive me. But I won't pretend him to abandon the life he has in there to come back here if he doesn't want to. Thank you for telling us, then. We'll do our best to contact him to explain what happened and tell him that Suna and we three are not his enemies. We will explain what we did and take full responsibility for our choices and leave to him the decision to forgive us or not. Gaara said with a grateful tone and a nod. If you're doing that, please add my letter to yours, the woman said, giving Kankuro a small envelope. What's this? He asked, confused. My letter, telling pretty much all that you just said, but about myself, and few other things like my admission of being too stupid to write sooner and my wish for his happiness in Hyrule. My and Tantan's wish, actually, Shizen answered shyly. We'll do as you ask, and if you feel the need, I'll make sure to forward your letters in secret, like that no one else will interfere or try to use them to see where he went, Gaara said, nodding. Really? Shizen asked, shocked. Really, oh? The Kazekage had the time to say before the woman hugged him, an action still too alien even for his instinct to predict, so to raise his usual wall of sand. Thank you. Thank you. The distraught woman answered with grateful tears. Both Temari and Kankuro actually had a chuckle at Gaara's awkward expression and his stiff way of patting Shizen's back, and at the slightly panicked look in his eyes at having to deal with something as strange as a crying woman hugging him, losing it completely when his sand even spelled the word help at his feet. I will start making arrangements right away then, Gaara, Temari said happily. And at the same time, I will make sure we won't be intercepted, Kankuro added. Good. Now please help me. Some time later. Hyrule, Arbiter's Ground. Was this the last one? Naruto asked, finally returning human, as soon as the last tall ghost finally succumbed. leaving behind the empty robe it was wearing once finished trashing around violently and turning to smoke. It should be, we destroyed 4 of them, Link answered. The thing I don't get is what the hell was that thing that flew out of their body once killed them. One was the blue flame, but that black ball? A soul fragment by the looks of it. Some poor guy must have had their spirit fractured and the pieces stolen by the Po ghosts. Those fragments should have already returned to their rightful owner. Yeah. We even helped a random guy without even knowing it. Awesome, Naruto said amused. While this happened, back in Hyrule Castletown, the statue of a short man, made of pure gold, slowly started blinking and moving, signaling that the man that had been cursed into that form was finally able to move by himself, and to keep being desperate about his misery. What woman would ever love a man that, once cured of his greed, discovered to like talking about his feelings, cuddle, is very sensible and loves animals, that loves to write poetry, to take romantic walks and prepare candlelit dinners himself, and enjoys romantic operas, and has a body made of solid gold, and possess an unlimited amount of money? Who could possibly love him? Life indeed was unfair. Say, Utsukushi asked. Yes? Link answered. Who designed this place? And the other temples? How are people supposed to move around if everywhere you look you find moving bridges, sliding corridors, and rooms where the walls need to be spun around to open doors? Ah, that. It is kind of a fun story, actually. When the various temples were firstly built, it was a time the faith in the goddesses was at an all-time high. So artists simply did their best to have palaces worthy of representing the goddesses' home in the mortal realm. In short, some of them went a little overboard in their wish to create something outstanding. Here instead, well, this was mostly an execution's ground that could also hold prisoners for a short time before their execution or banishment through the Mirror of Twilight. That's why we have met all those skeletons, as they are what remains of the guards. As for the moving walls, the harder it is to move around, the easier is to stop escapees from leaving should they manage to break out. The wolf answered, If you say so. The vixen replied, shrugging uncaring. At least now that gate is once again open and... Are those cogs? Naruto added happily while walking through the open gate to see the new room and the broken floor welcome him. Something seems to be lacking. Part of a mechanism. Midna answered as she floated closer to the small hole in the middle of the room, where it was clear a cog of some kind had been removed to interrupt the system. Ah, I think I know what we need here. If we are lucky, we should also find one close, but we'll need to be even more lucky for it to still work after all this time, though. Link answered in realization. Ah, I knew it. A new gadget to defeat this dungeon's boss. Utsukushi yelled in victory. It doesn't work like that. Midna repeated again, annoyed. Actually, that is something I too noticed back in the days. Always the right tool to clear the dungeon and its boss hidden in that same dungeon. Every time, a most peculiar thing, I have to admit. Link admitted with a wolfish shrug. Damn it, if you have done teasing Midna. Naruto said, sighing. Never. Can we please go on? He finished saying, pretending he had never been interrupted. Yes, we must continue. Crash. The spirit wolf said before breaking into a shrieking scream, as he simply failed to find solid ground to walk on once used one of the doors. You okay down there? Naruto asked while looking all the way down the circular hole covering the whole room floor and at the giant pillar resting in the exact middle of it that had been built to look like a giant screw. Yes. Luckily, my face broke the fall. Link answered with a broken voice. I guess the whole floor can be raised and lowered by pushing that giant lever around the pillar. Hundreds of years without being used must have loosened the thing enough for it to go down by itself, though. Midna said as she followed the blonde down in a more elegant landing. What floor, sir? The former shinobi asked, amused. It's not fun. Link said, annoyed. Quit being grumpy. You are an undead spirit. You can't get hurt. He answered as he started pushing and making the whole platform they were standing on slowly move upward with a loud chorus of cracking sounds and whines of ancient cogs finally moving after God knows how long. Mind killing those things while I do the heavy lifting at least? We technically are a team in this. Naruto added, annoyed, as skulls with spider legs kept jumping down from the walls to surround him, trying to take a bite. Okay, I'll get to it. The wolf answered, grumbling as he started biting the small things in half or head-butting them to pieces. Not to be a bother, but you are going the wrong way. We need to move this thing to the lower floors, Midna said, amused while observing the compass in her hands. Fuck, why you didn't tell me sooner? The blonde answered, whining as he complied, making the floor/lift move downwards. You never asked. There, behind that door, the imp girl said, unfazed while pointing at the new chain-covered door. Very well. Raise. Why not using a key? For once, just to try how it feels, Link said sarcastically, and offering the other the ancient key he was holding in his mouth, he took from one of the skull spiders. Spoil sport. The former shinobi answered, grumbling, while opening the door the proper way. See? It worked just fine. Oh, do shut up, you flea ball. Other rooms? This place is immense, Utsukushi said in wonder. It develops mostly in height, either by going very deep underground or reaching high altitude upward. The desert didn't offer an area stable enough to have it built normally, so they had to improvise. Link answered, and those rails running along the walls? Naruto asked, confused. Oh, you'll see. And I bet you like the spinner all right. The wolf answered, chuckling. The spinner? A surprise, Miss Midna. TCH. Tell me immediately, then. The imp girl started saying before the new door closed behind the trio, leaving them in a completely dark room where the temperature dropped to freezing levels and alone. Giant swords stood plunged on the floor, held down by chains, each covered by dozens upon dozens of seal tags along a giant circular array of runes surrounding the section of the floor the whole assemble was occupying. Mini-boss? Naruto asked with a whisper as sinister runes started shining on the blade, making the weapon move by itself to break free. Probably. Link answered, worried, as one by one the seal tags burst aflame as the sword slowly rose in the air until its tip went pointed towards the blonde shinobi. It was a giant, thick blade, rectangular in shape, looking unrefined enough to give the idea that someone had just took a slab of iron and gave it a sharp edge instead of creating a proper sword. Bad intentions. Very bad intentions coming out, Utsukushi said in alarm. Giant Po Ghost. The hero shade yelled as both heroes jumped in two different directions to evade the heavy attack of the blade that easily opened a deep crater on the solid rock. What the fuck? The now fox-form Naruto said in shock at seeing the blade being wildly waved around by a several feet high ghost dressed in highly decorated robes and wearing an animal skull to cover its whole head while snarling and growling in blind fury. By the looks of it, he must have been the old head executioner. Before he got too involved in his job, Link said as a wide swipe went barely dodged by him and only managing to cut off some hair. Death. Sword death. Sword death. Sword. The spirit growled continuously whenever not raving incoherently. I think he wants us dead, Midna said with narrowed eyes. You don't say, miss. I'll take away his sword. You attack his throat. The spirit wolf answered, jumping high in the sky to latch to the ghost's arm as soon as it raised the blade high above its head. Raya! Naruto bellowed as he too pounced on the monster as soon as it dropped its weapon and shoved Link away with a deafening scream of pain/rage. Gwala! The undead answered by grabbing the fox hanging from its neck to tear it off and throw it against the spirit wolf, making both crash against the wall. The guy is turning visible, Utsukushi said in surprise, as now the giant entity could clearly be seen without using Naruto's animal instinct. He is absorbing power from that sword enough to gain a temporary body. We'll need to defeat him fast before he mutates more, Midna added, while leaving Naruto turned back into being a human. So, we have a tight schedule? I can do this, the blonde said, moving to unseal Samahata. Wait, did you take the Master Sword with you? Link said immediately. Yes, why? Use it. The sword has cleansing powers. It will negate the ones in that weapon and destroy both that and the ghost, the hero shade answered. Very well. Time to shine, girl, the former shinobi said, nodding and unsealing the ancient sword. Ruir. The now corporeal ghost finally recovered his own weapon to charge, both heroes flying rapidly to them, leaving behind a thick trail of smoke-like darkness. Dodge! Link yelled as both barely managed to evade the monster's forward thrust. I didn't expect the bastard to get faster, Naruto said, sneering. That weapon is trying to give him enough power to kill us. To their surprise, the new charge stopped abruptly when an arrow came flying from the beast's blind side to pierce its eye, making it scream in agony. What the? This way, you fool! Midna said, smirking as the bow she was making float next to her with her magic cocked back a new arrow and shooting it at the ghost's shoulder, making it growl and charge her. "Get him!" Naruto yelled as he jumped on the monster back, piercing his back with the master sword all the way to the front. "Grr!" Link growled as he latched to the ghost's hand, crunching it to pieces, making it drop his weapon. Raya! Unable to recover its sword, the ghost hurried against the wall, slamming the wolf shades back against one of the pillars in the room, all the while trying to shake Naruto of his back and to grab him with his only sane hand. "Not yet," the blonde said, planting both feet on the ghost's back to pull the master's sword free and jump away. Katon. Gokakyu no Jutsu. Great fireball technique. A fast blur of hand seals and a shadow clone to hold the sword for him. Later, and the howling ghost briefly turned into a humanoid ball of fire as the massive jutsu completely covered his back. "You okay?" Midna asked, helping Link to stand. "I will be fine. I am dead already. There is little that thing can do to me." The wolf answered, shaking his head to clear it. "Feeling better?" Naruto asked. "I will. Now just kill that beast, and let's move on." "Yes." Taihukage Bunsin no Jutsu. Massive shadow clone technique. The blonde replied, creating dozens of clones on himself to swarm the ghost. Rayawag. The monster charged forward, holding his sword with his sane hand, only to see the charging army of clones either slip underneath the blade or even using it as a springboard to jump above his head. Raiten Raikiri. Lightning release. Lightning cutter. The clones plus original yelled as one covering the master sword and its copies in a dense layer of lightning before thrusting the blades forward with all their strength. Aiawea. The last scream of the ghost was one of pain as dozens of blades pierced everywhere on his body, tearing it apart. The monster finally falling silent when the real Naruto pierced his skull with a real master sword, cleaving his head in half and pinning him on the floor. "It's dead, finally," Utsukushi said, sighing as the group watched the cursed blade rust at blinding speed until reduced to dust while the ghost's body broke apart into fragments, flying away, screeching like bats, soon dissolving into nothingness. "Let's go, we still have to find the Twilight Mirror," Midna said, returning to sit on the blonde's shoulder, while the torches around the room lighted up and both the door they used to enter and a new one at the opposite side opened by themselves. "Okay." The girl's companion answered, nodding before developing a thoughtful expression. "By the way, yes?" Midna asked. "Before coming here, we have found that part of the bridge those bastards transported here through the twilight." "Okay. And you sent it back, but near the area as a piece had been torn off from the middle of it instead of the whole thing." "Okay. I'll admit it. I didn't think about completely restore it when I used the spell. What about it?" she asked back, growling. "I'm not judging, but I can't help but wonder about how will they put it back in place." Naruto admitted, confused. "Oh, don't you worry. I am sure they will be fine. Hyrule Castletown houses good architects and carpenters ever since it was founded, and nowadays the descendants of those people are carrying out their legacy with pride. I am sure those masters will use that piece to fix the bridge in no time." The hero Shade answered, waving his concern away with a wolfish shrug. "If you say so," the blonde shinobi answered, not fully convinced. Small flash forward to the next day, Bridge of Eldin. "What now?" a man said, scratching his head, while watching the several meters of bridge that had been reported as gone missing for several days, and that now had been seen technically fall from the sky to rest abandoned near the cliffside. "I have no idea," the man's Gorin pal answered, uneasy. "Maybe if we roll it there. But how do we fix it in place then?" "Glue?" the man said, unsure. "Rope?" the other answered with a similar tone. "Lunch break?" the architect finally said after a long pause of silence. "Lunch break," the Gorin engineer answered, nodding as both walked away. Back to the present time, with Jiraiya, near Hyrule Royal Castle. The spy master intoned as his fire element Rasengan went slammed against the barrier surrounding Zelda's castle in an imposing explosion of fire that burned the man's shadow clone, using it to a crisp thanks to the backlash. "Okay, this makes 6 failed attempts at breaking that barrier. 3 versions of the Rasengan, 2 different Fuinjutsu attacks, and a synchronized attack done with 3 different jutsu and 3 different elements launched at the same time," the old man said, grumbling. "And my sword." Gamabunta the Toad, summon boss, added, growling while showing the chipped blade in his hand. "Ah, yes, that makes it 7 then. Last try?" The Toad sage answered sheepishly. "Okay, I'll give you oil, and you put on the flames. The toad summon answered, taking in a huge breath that made his chest swell dramatically. On three. 1, 2, 3. Jiraiya said, running through hand seals. Katan. Gameo Enden. Fire release. Toad oil flame missile. Both intoned as the river worth of oil, Gamabunna spat, when ignited by Jiraiya's fire breath, turning the whole area in front of them in a real inferno of flames for several minutes before both had to drop the jutsu to rest. No results. You have to be kidding me. Gamabunta roared furious as he kicked the barrier in defiance. It's one hell of a barrier. This you have to admit. The spy master answered, knocking on the thing while looking at the castle with narrowed eyes. I wonder why nobody seemed to see it, though. The Toad boss asked with crossed arms. Other people around here seem to lack the awareness we summons posses and that Jiraiya and Naruto to share with us thanks to the sage training, a new Toad said, joining the scene. Fukusku. Jiraiya saluted with a small bow of his head. Old boy. The Toad elder answered with a similar salute. Where is Shima? Looking for Naruto boy to see if he needs help. He still has his name on our contract, so we want to remember him that he can summon us in times of need. I thought you couldn't reverse summon him, let alone find him, Jiraiya said with a cold tone. We lied, Jiraiya. The old Toad replied, jumping on the man's head to better look at the barrier. WWY. The Toad sage said, shocked. In answer, the small animal jumped up to deliver an axe kick to the old man's head, incredibly slamming him down in a small crater, no matter the fact that the shinobi was actually several times bigger than the Toad. Listen well now, you senile idiot. Since you apparently forgot my lessons, I will teach you once again what our summon clan is all about. Fukusaka said, looking in the spy master's eyes thanks to the man's new spray position. Quiet. Gamabunna growled to cut him off. When our clan came to be, we made a promise to always protect and fight alongside whoever was deemed worthy of putting their signature on our contract no matter what. Do you remember when you firstly signed it? Yeah. The man replied with a loud sigh. You do? It doesn't seem like it. Ever since the first day, we have been your family when you had none. We have been your fathers, your mothers, your brothers and cousins. We helped you turning from a snot-nosed genin pretending to be older than he was to buy hentai books, to a legendary snot-nosed man that writes his own hentai series. Fukusaka said with a fond chuckle. My Aika Aika is not hentai. It's artistic literature with adult scenes spiking things up. Jiraiya replied with a weak smile. If we were so helpful with you, why then wouldn't we be open to do the same for Naruto? We saw him grow and helped him develop his full potential. He was in dire need of help and wanted out of the shinobi way of life. So even if it pained us, we helped him escape, and I bet he managed to create himself a new peaceful lifestyle here just fine. Before troubles came calling for him to move his ass and be a hero again. So he won't come back to Konoha? Jiraiya asked with a low voice. Be honest with me, Jiraiya. Why you want him back? It may have been for Konoha's sake at the beginning, but now? Fukusaka asked. You saw this place. It is in real need of help, no too differently from when Madara or Pain attacked the elemental nations. And yet, you can also tell that before all this mess started, this was a peaceful land. You can literally smell it in the air. So I need to know why you want him to abandon the peace he has every right to finally enjoy. I want him back. For your own sake? Yes. He admitted while looking down in defeat. I didn't know you to be that selfish, Gamabunna said, shaking his head. I always thought he would have achieved my dream for a true peace in our land. A world of shinobi will never see true peace, Jiraiya. Should that happen, then the whole concept of ninja too would lose its meaning. And deep inside, you know it. Our boy took away the Biju in a sense. He removed one of the main reasons of conflict between the villages. He has left everything behind, as he knew the others would have never left him be. In a way, he has already given the keys for that peace to the elemental nations when he took the Biju away after defeating the bad guys behind the biggest shinobi war in our history. So I should be just happy for him and simply live with the memories I have of him, as if he was dead? The Toad sage asked bitterly. There is still the option to go on retirement yourself. You are no longer a kid, Jiraiya. Find a new, suitable heir. Teach them what they need to know to take your place, and then come here yourself. Gamabunna answered nonplussed. Here, I got the idea that what you had with that barwoman Telma was more than a small flirt, especially since you never shut up about her. Was I wrong? Fukusaka said, smirking. No, well, I mean, igrigadis? Maybe? I'll take that as a yes, Fukusaku replied amused. But what about Konoha? What about it? They still have their powerful warriors and will always have. Kakashi may be a nice candidate to take over your spy network now that his issues with Obito have been resolved, pulling him out of his years-long funk. Find us a new summoner and future sage, and let Tsunade and the others sort out the rest. Hiruzen-san would have been on retirement himself had Minato-kun not died. He too understood that it was time to step aside and let the new generations take over when he had to find a successor. You too can do the same. The elder Toad answered calmly. I need to think about it, Jiraiya said, uncertain as he finally stood up. In your hunt for Naruto? Gamabunna asked. Put on hold until I understand what I want for him. And myself. The man replied, looking at the sky with a defeated expression. There are other things to life other than village honor and battles. Remember, Fukusuka said as he and Gamabunta disappeared to return to the Toad Mountain. Other things in life. Sigh. I need a pint and divine help. The spy master muttered dejected as he slowly returned to Castle Town, feeling a great need to see Telma and ask for her opinion on the matter. And hug her. Yes, hugging her for a couple hours too sounded like a nice idea. Back with Naruto and Midna, the blonde and the imp were calmly looking at the new gadget that apparently, if they had to listen to the wolf-shaped hero shade accompanying them, will help them advance in the temple. I have to admit it does look like fun, Naruto said unsure. Zoom! Cha-clang. It sure can run along those rails pretty fast, Midna added as her head followed the spinner as it jumped from a rail to another. I am still faster than that thing though, the shinobi felt the need to point out. Indeed you are. Do you plan to stop playing? We kind of are on a tight schedule. Oh dear. I am sorry. I got caught up in the moment. Link answered ashamed as he drove the spinner to stop in front of Naruto. How do you drive it if you were a wolf? The blonde asked. It follows the direction in which you lean your body to. Sorry for my moment. Back in the days these things were pretty famous and I always wanted to try one and never got the chance, the wolf admitted, somehow blushing. You can keep it if you want, but now let's move. We still have a dungeon boss to fight. Naruto answered, shrugging while ignoring the happy way the hero shade was wagging his tail. Admittedly, the former shinobi could confirm that the spinner did look like something fun to ride, but even then the adrenaline junkie in him still found it a tad too slow for his tastes. But considering he had ninja training letting him walk on walls, he also recognized that everyone else bar him wouldn't have been able to navigate most of the areas of the Arbiter's grounds without one. That is a nice ability you possess, Naruto, Link admitted as he watched the blonde run horizontally on the wall to follow him using the ancient spinning disc. Thanks, it gives you much more freedom of movement. The other answered, smirking as they stumbled upon a huge chest waiting for them in the middle of a completely empty room. This smells like a trap, Utsukushi said, growling. Send a clone to open it, just in case. Midna said with narrowed eyes. Yes. Kagebunshin no jutsu. So? Link asked. Just a big key, but it is not covered in dust, so it has been put here recently. The shadow clone answered, showing the others a big-sized key with a red globe on top of it. It means that they are waiting for us in the boss room. They are openly challenging us. The hero shade said, snarling. Zant! Midna hissed, furious. He must have prepared something special to greet us, Naruto added with narrowed eyes. Then let's see what he has done to entertain us. Right on it, Link said as the group returned to the room they firstly saw had cogs hidden under the floor, and once connected the spinner on the missing mechanism and left spin rapidly, a whole section of the wall in front of them spun around to show a circular room with a very tall ceiling and a long spiral rail leading to the heavily chained door of the boss room. The road is already open. Zant team is really waiting for us, Naruto said, sneering. A short climbing of the rail and the unlocking of the door later, and the trio of heroes found themselves in a dimly lighted huge room filled by unnatural coldness, and with the floor covered by a thick layer of sand half burying the giant skeleton of a long-dead horned beast. Whoever killed that thing had it not easy, Utsukushi said, as they all could see the various weapons still sticking out from the monster's head. Never seen such a creature before. It must be exceptionally ancient, Link admitted in surprise. Oh, a cold voice chuckled, amused. Zant! Midna roared as the masked figure appeared on the monster's head to laugh at her and the others. So you are alive, bastard. Did you come here for more? Naruto said with a furious glare. You still live as well. How astonishing. No wonder some call you hero. Zant answered mockingly. You don't fool me. Last time we met, I had torn you a new one pretty easily. So do not play macho with me. Naruto answered with equally bitter sarcasm. Silence, you insolent brat. What? Did I struck a nerve? What happened in the past, it matters not, as this is truly a bittersweet reunion. Truly, Zant replied, opening his arms wide to freely laugh in amusement. For one running away, crying to his master for help at the first trouble. He sure has a huge ego. Atsukushi said, snorting. Why bittersweet? Midna asked, cautious. Because I fear this is the last time I will see you alive. The masked Twily answered, summoning in his hands a giant blade. Then bring it. Naruto answered, sprinting forward to tackle Zant, making him slam his back against the wall strong enough to leave cracks at the impact. Guh! The mad sorcerer gurgled as he felt his mouth fill in both blood and bile from the first hit to his stomach. You won't run away this time. The shinobi then said, grabbing his ankle to slam Zant down on the floor. Rasen Gh! The blonde tried, saying before a huge skeletal hand slapped him away before he could hit the down Twily. Naruto! The sword was not for him to use in a fight, but to give new life to the monster. Link said as the giant skeleton rose alive to growl angrily at him with its shining red eyes, showing its will to fight even if with the lower half of its body still buried under the sand. Can you kill it? The shinobi asked while still glaring at Zant. I can see old cracks on its spine. I think that if I charge that part full force with the spinner, I should be able to break it. You focus on Zant. I will deal with our fossilized friend. The hero shade answered in determination, while once again riding the spinner. What makes you believe that I will lower myself to personally fight you, boy? Zant asked as he floated up in the air to meet the glare of Naruto, standing on the wall above him. What? Are you afraid? Do not use the excuse of me being not worth your time. We both know that had your master not helped you, you would have been already dead. Naruto answered. Grr! Then so be it. I will show you once and for all the power my lord bestowed on me. The usurper king answered as a rapid salvo of magical bullets rained on the blonde. That's more like it. The other answered, dashing forward. Soon both were running side by side on the walls around the giant room. Naruto by running on the wall, and Zant by rapidly flying next to him. Jaya! The mad Twily screamed with a deranged voice as he kept bombarding the shinobi in magic. Kunaikache bunsin no jutsu. The other replied, launching a kunai and multiplying it into several dozens to meet the magical bullets midair in a series of explosions. Get over here! Naruto yelled, jumping over the skeletal hand of the Twilight fossil, trying to interfere in their fight. So to shot the claw of the claw shot to grab Zant's ankle and pull him closer to then use his free hand to get a hold of the usurper's masked face to slam the back of his head on the wall. He was running on, instantly making sparks fly everywhere. Let's see your face, bastard! Naruto screamed as his running gained even more speed until the friction caused Zant's mask to get torn to pieces, making the surprised Twily teleport away to escape. You look like shit. No, that would be an insult to shit, he said, making the now unmasked Twily grit his sharp teeth in fury and develop a heavy tick on his yellow eyes. Jaya! Letting out a scream of pure madness, the usurper king used his powers to make his body grow in sizes until it matched the undead monster stalwart the ghostly wolf was still fighting. Okay, that I did not expect, Naruto admitted as he barely dodged the giant hand that tried to squash him. He has not the right mind to hold that spell perfectly. Hit him hard enough, and he will return to his normal sizes. He is straining his mind too much to become that big, Midna said as her own hair-made hand paralyzed the new volley of magic bullets midair. Thanks, Kakebunsin no Jutsu. The former shinobi intoned, creating 5 copies of himself and using 4 to hold down the giant Zant's hands so that he and the remaining clone could run on one of the arms. Oh, Dama Rasengan? Both original and clone yelled at the same time as both had a huge Rasengan in each hand before slamming the 4 drilling spheres of chakra on the usurper's face, making him shriek in agony as he went shot back against the wall. Keep this up. I have almost done and will soon join you, Link said as he saw the last ring of bone-forming Stalward's spine break under the charge of the spinner. Grr! At that, dozens upon dozens of skeletal guards surfaced from under the sand to defend the last remaining part of spine of the giant skeleton. Okay, I might need some more time to join you, so please hang in there. The hero Shade said, swallowing loudly as the newly arrived horde charged him en masse. Back with Naruto. No other trick up your sleeves, Zant team? Naruto asked, growling, as now Zant was back in a normal sizes and showing a heavily bleeding face, now twisted in now clear madness. Yaya! Wah! The Twily rambled incoherently as two scimitars materialized in his hands, along several hologram-like copies of himself bursting out of his body. Is he copying my Kage Bunshin? Naruto asked as he jumped down the wall to evade both original Zant and copies charging him while madly spinning on themselves. Seems so, even if he is making a bad job at it. Utsukushi answered, if we waste our time dealing with this, we'll never defeat him. Don't bother yourself with those little nuisances. Attack the real Zant, Midna said as her zone failed to paralyze the holograms. Right. Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu. Great fireball technique. The blonde replied, launching an immense fireball towards the copies, obliterating the lot of them and a big chunk of the wall. Damn, I love this Triforce stuff, he said, amazed while jumping through the cloud of smoke he had created to cross blades with Zant and stopping abruptly the Twily's mad spinning. Grah! The madman spat and answered while kicking the blonde away. Someone got so angry to forget how to talk, Utsukushi admitted as the sorcerer kept flaying his scimitars around in a random pattern while growling and spitting nonsense. He never was sane to begin with, furball, Midna answered as she too had to dive to not get beheaded by a particularly vicious swing. Do you mind? I am actually fighting for my life here, Naruto yelled as his forward thrust forced Zant to bend backwards while spinning the upper half of his body of 180 to cross his blades and cut the former shinobi's head off in a scissor-like motion. Do you even have a spine? The blonde shrieked as he barely jumped back in time to evade that counter. Hee! Ah! Grah! Yaha! Zant replied, cackling in glee as he kept bending and twisting his body in dumbfounding ways to mock him. Ew! Even Orochimaru had limits in creepiness. I did it! At that, Link's relived scream echoed in the room as the giant Twilight fossil crumbled to pieces, making the sand on the floor disappear through vents to show the apparent other half of the room that was hidden under it, and that was covered in a literal endless rail system for the spinner to ride while the former skeleton had been standing on a raised giant platform in the middle of it, soon followed by the still-alive head of Stalord, starting to fly around at high speed to continue its attack on both Link and Naruto. You have to be fucking kidding me. The hero Shade shrieked in rage as he was soon chased by the giant skeleton head that in the meantime started spitting miasma-like spheres of magic at him. That had also been the signal for both former shinobi and Twily sorcerer that their fight was not over yet as they too started running, or flying in Zant's case, along the rails to keep attacking each other. Why won't you die? Zant screamed, furious as his copies kept popping out for an instant to assault the blonde with their spinning attack. Because I like to annoy bastards like you, the other replied as his own Kage Bunshin intercepted the phantoms to let their boss free to attack the real Twily. As the two kept jumping from a side to the other, meeting midair for a rapid crossing of blades. In the meantime, the ghostly wolf Link kept dodging left and right as he moved closer to the floating head of the undead fossil. I could be resting in peace. I could be spending time enjoying the afterlife with my loved ones. Instead, I am here, spending time with you. Why won't you drop down, Deed? The hero Shade bellowed as he slammed the spinner's spinning wheel on Stalward's forehead, making it howl in pain to then be bounced back on the rails to repeat the circle of dodge/attack. Back with Naruto. D. Zan intoned madly as his cross scimitars went blocked by the master sword in Naruto's hand. Never. Even just to annoy you. I will never die. The blonde answered, pushing the other back, once broken the Twily sorcerer's swords in two. You will never win. My lord's powers are beyond your foolish comprehension. You cannot defeat me. The Twily answered, roaring as he repaired his swords to assault the other once again. Just look at you. This is what you wanted, Midna asked in disgust, actually stopping the two fighters. What? The madman asked with a low voice. You always wanted to rule, to be king, and now you are just a puppet spouting nonsense about your master. I find it kind of ironic, actually. If not for your master's power, you would be nothing. the imp girl said with a bitter laugh. Still your tongue for a moment, whelp. Zant replied, as if he had temporarily recovered a shard of sanity. The people of our tribe, a tribe that mastered the arts of magic, were locked away in the twilight world like insects in a cage. And we did nothing to rebel, he then said, making his spit fly everywhere. In the shadows, we regressed, so much so that soon we knew neither anger nor hatred, not even the faintest bloom of desire. And all of it was the fault of a useless, do-nothing royal family that had resigned itself to this miserable half-existence. At those words, Midna couldn't stop a tiny wince from appearing on her face. You did nothing to free us. Nothing. 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 Zant yelled while jumping on the spot petulantly, each jump creating and deepening a crater under him from the strength he was putting on his stomping. I had served and endured in that depraved household for far too long. My impudent princess. The man then spat in disgust. P-princess? Naruto asked while looking at Midna with wide eyes. So that is why Zelda said they were looking for you far and wide. He usurped your throne, Utsukushi said, shocked, making the imp girl nod with a pained expression. I endured and endured. Why, you ask? Because I believed I would be the next to rule our people. That is why. Zant roared furious, before breaking down into mad cackling. But would they acknowledge me as their king? No, 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 no. And as such, I was denied the magic powers befitting our ruler. The power that should have been mine. Mine, Mine, Mine. You remember me of Orochimaru and Madara, all right. Two madmen that believed to be unrivaled geniuses that never went celebrated as they thought they should have been, or that never got the appreciation they believed was their right. You three did the same thing and decided to hurt everybody, so to force them into doing your bidding and love you. But at least Madara and Orochimaru did everything using their own abilities. You instead just bitched and moaned until some annoyed asshole decided to use you for their plans. You are so pathetic that you couldn't even go through your revenge, but instead decided to ride the coattails of someone else. Naruto answered, disgusted, making Zant look at him with narrowed, furious eyes. Do not disrespect my lord, you brat, because it was thanks to him if I could get my revenge. It was after their betrayal that in the thrall of hatred and despair, I turned my eyes to the heavens and found a god. He chose me to house his powers inside my body. Every desire of mine became his. Everything I wished for, he too would have wanted for himself, and by swearing my undying servitude to him, I was reborn, Zant said with a deranged, sickening moan, leaving his mouth a long, broken giggles. And what is this wish? Naruto asked with narrowed eyes. My god has only one wish, to merge shadow and light, and make darkness. And if that is what he wants, then I want that to happen myself. Sigh. It was exactly as Naruto said then. You cried, whined, and moaned until your lord saw your pitiful state and took advantage of it. You are no chosen one. You are simply someone so pathetic that everyone could just use you for their ends. Midna answered with a saddened tone. Silence. I am tired of hearing your voice. You are tired to hear my voice, huh? You want to know why none would call you king? It was your eyes, Zant. All saw it, a lust for power burning in your pupils. Did you think we'd forget our ancestors lost their king to such greed? Do you? The small girl hissed in contempt. You. I shouldn't have transformed you into that thing. I should have killed you the first time I faced you. But I can do it now. Zant screamed as he teleported in front of Midna, with both scimitars held high and rapidly slashing down to cleave her in half. The imp girl yelled, shocked, as she failed to dodge because of the sorcerer's magic blocking her. No! Naruto roared in fury, making the Triforce mark in his hand light up, somehow forcing him to enter Sage mode. GUH! The Twilight sorcerer gurgled out in shock and pain as the blonde had moved faster than what Zant could anticipate to appear in front of Midna, to shove her aside and slash down with the Master Sword, reducing the mad Twily's scimitars to dust and opening a very deep gash on the sorcerer's body in a shower of black smoke like blood. Shocked by the outcome of his own actions as he simply wanted to push Zant's back, Naruto dropped the sage mode and fell sitting on the floor as he watched the wounded Twily stagger back, clutching his heavily bleeding chest. Why you? Traitors! I would have freed our tribe. I would brought us to greatness. The mad Twily said, panting between mouthfuls of blood. In exchange of eternal slavery under you and your master. That's not greatness. Midna answered, glaring at him. Ha! Ha! Midna, foolish Twilight Princess. The curse on you cannot be broken. What? What curse? Naruto said, worried. What turned you into that form was placed on you by the magic of my god. The power you held as leader of the Twily will never return. The Twily sorcerer answered, laughing weakly as he fell on one knee in pain. Soon he will descend and will be reborn in this world. And as long as my master, Ganon, survives, he will resurrect me without cease. Over and over and over again. Yah! Zant said, letting out a crazed, loud laugh of cruel amusement. Zant! Midna yelled as her hair-made hand flared to life, trying to grab him only for him to teleport away using his last remaining energies. Come back! Come here, you coward! Come back here! She yelled and yelled, stopping only when Naruto's arms engulfed her in a tight embrace. SSSH. Calm down. We will get him. We will kick his ass and that of his master and force them to undo whatever curse it's on you. We will do this together. The blonde said while caressing her back. Together? She asked. Now and forever. But what curse was he talking about? This body. The imp girl said in clear disgust while pointing at herself. It's very cute, Naruto said with a cheeky smile. Yes, it's very cute and… What? The bastard turned you into this little thing and blocked most of your powers as a princess of the Twilight. Thing that, by the way, you should have told me sooner you were, and exiled you from the Twilight Realm, correct? He asked while patting his shoulder. Yes, I think he believed that just by doing that would it have meant he would have stolen the magic normally bestowed on the chosen king/princess of the Twilight from me. But it was not like that, and so he tried hunting me down to finish the job once banished me. Good news then. Had he not thought you were below him to kill, he would have done worse to you. But now I am this grotesque thing. Midna answered, annoyed, while subconsciously returning to sit on the offered shoulder. Considering what I did to that grotesque body of yours not too long ago, the former shinobi said, smirking at her massive blush. Don't you think that maybe I'm not troubled by it? Or you never noticed how the people we met never seemed to mind your appearances, as I never saw anybody recoil once seen you. But my true face, I'm sure it will be even more pretty, but we should focus first on helping your tribe in Hyrule to not get destroyed by those psycho madmen and their plans. I am sure that once defeated this so-called god Zant team believes in, you will return to normal. Right, for now stopping Zant is more important, she admitted, nodding. Sigh. To be honest, I didn't expect my attack to do that to Zant team. I am sorry. I still need to get used to this Triforce thing, Naruto admitted, sighing in defeat. There is nothing to be sorry about, as you saved my life again, and I thank you for it. I will help you learn how to use it well. I still know a thing or two about magic even while looking like this, Midna offered, patting his head. And I have lots of years of experience about having super destructive powers. I can help as well, Utsukushi added, smirking smugly. Thank you, girls. So the curse is only about your powers and imp form? Nothing lethal? He asked, worried. Nothing more? Honest. Midna answered with a small smile. No more secrets, though, please? You can trust me, Midna. No more secrets, promise. She answered. Ready to go? The hero shade said, dragging in his mouth the same sword Zant used to give life to Stalord. Found yourself a weapon? Naruto asked, chuckling. It was lying there once I finally destroyed that thing. I can still use a sword, well, even if holding it in my mouth. The wolf replied, managing a shrug. There is no longer magic in it. You can use it safely without problems. Midna said, once scanned the sword with her powers. Good. Now let's move and find the Mirror of Twilight. We wasted even too much time. Utsukushi said, annoyed. Follow me. The Mirror should be this way. Link said, sprinting forward, soon followed by Naruto and Midna. Meanwhile, with Zant, Twilight Realm, and my lord. The wounded Twily staggered towards the towering form of his god, making him turn to look at him with a sneer. Once again, its step close at dying. He said in disgust, help me, my lord. The brat and Midna must pay. They must die. He pleaded, falling on his knees and yet still walking towards his god. Yes, they will die, but by my hands, as I no longer need you. Chala. Zant muttered in confusion before a new scream of agony erupted from his throat as Ganondorf's hand went plunged deeply inside his wound. There are new issues about my powers I must resolve, and your Twilight powers will help me in fixing them. The man said with a sadistic smile as green lines started traveling from Zant's body to the patch of skin that once held the Gerudo's Triforce shard. Emma, my lord, the Twilight said weakly as he started withering and turning to dust. I am merely taking back the part of my powers I permitted you to hold for me, plus the interests. It was a mistake trusting a weakling like you, but you small people do have some merits after all, as you still managed to further my plans. That much I will concede you. Ganondorf answered, kicking Zant's body, making it explode in a cloud to ashes. Still not much, but it should be enough to kill whoever has my Triforce shard and rip it out of their cold corpse. In the meantime, I am sure Zelda's own one will act as a nice backup for the few sparks still remaining inside me to strengthen them. The Gerudo Dark Lord muttered, unsatisfied, as he could feel his powers being still far from his former glory, proved mostly by his inability to transform into his giant boar form. Yet, I will find a way around it. The Light Guardians have been dealt with once. They too may be a nice source of magic. They too will do until I will recover what is rightfully mine. Bwahahaha, he said before his cruel laughter resounded in the whole Twilight realm, scaring the few Twilight still around, not transformed in a shadow beast down to their soul. It was a mere miracle that he never saw the small and terrified Twilight kid stealthily leaving the room the Dark Lord was in. Rapidly taking away the shards of the fused shadow, the girl managed to steal from Zant's remains in order to try and see if she could return them to her princess. Back with Naruto and Midna, the mirror had been broken. The group of heroes had just discovered that traversing the desert, battling shadow beasts and every monstrosity of the Arbiter's grounds to then make the chain-bound giant stone acting as bridge for the Twilight realm had all been useless, as the key part of the whole mechanism, the Mirror of Twilight itself, had been destroyed by Zant as soon as he knew they were traveling towards its resting place. Midna, don't worry. We will find another way, Naruto said, trying to help the distraught girl. How? How will we do that? It was all useless. A waste of time, she answered with an angry yet tired scream. You heard those white guys. The mirror can be repaired, the blonde answered, hugging her while glaring at the white-robed figures standing far away and on top of the giant pillars holding the rock in the air. They were seemingly made of light, also forming their robes, detached hands, and had mask-like faces hanging in the air in front of their head that instead lacked any feature and seemed like the face behind the mask had been cut off and had several halos hovering above them. Not only those guys had failed to kill this Ganondorf guy, but they're also the ones that had him reach the Twilight realm and meet Zant, starting this whole mess. Utsukushi said, glaring hatefully at those figures, making them look down in sadness. At the command of the goddesses, we sages have guarded the Mirror of Twilight since ancient times, one of them said with an echoing voice. And even if the mighty magic only Ganondorf posses fragmented it, as we said, it can be restored as only the true leader of the Twilight can utterly destroy the Mirror of Twilight, so Zant could merely break it to pieces. A second sage added, how can someone you said was a just guy at the head of a whole band of thieves that wanted to conquer your sacred realm do all this? Naruto asked. He was a demon thief, an evil magic wielder renowned for his ruthlessness, and it was only thanks to his blindness to danger that he was captured and brought to justice. And yet, as if by some divine prank, he had been blessed with the chosen power of the gods. His abiding hatred and lust for power turned to purest malice. We had no other choice but to banish him. Another sage answered, shaking his head. That same power must have been then bestowed on Zant. Far too late to figure it now, from where Zant got his powers, Midna said, dejected. Up in heaven, it was not a prank in any way, shape, or form, but one of my greatest mistakes. Din admitted, sighing. Sister, Farah said sadly, the conditions I left for my mark to appear were too open, permitting even to a soul as tainted as his to gain its blessing, leading us to our current situation and its other instances. The goddess of power said with a low voice of shame. We are finally fixing this issue. Now you personally choose your champion. Naru added with a comforting smile. I really believed Ganondorf would have done great things with my mark. I was sure that once obtained it, he would have seen the error of his ways, and he would have changed. But he never did. Not one of his reincarnations ever did. Din said, dropping her head down. In a way, he did great things, terrible ones, yes, but still great. Farah answered, the new hero of power, though, seems promising. Let's focus on him and help him save Hyrule. From him, we will shape new generations of holders of your blessing, sister. Naru added, right? I can do this. I can do this. That's the spirit, sister. The goddess of wisdom answered, smiling proud. Back on Hyrule, how are we supposed to fix the mirror? Utsukushi asked. The mirror of twilight has become fragments, which even now lie hidden across the land of Hyrule. A sage answered. Where? Link asked, clearly getting annoyed himself. One is in the snowy mountain heights, one is in an ancient grove, and one is in the heavens. All the sages said as one. Yes, okay. But where are those fragments exactly? Naruto asked. NGH. You don't know? Don't you? The former shinobi said, groaning while pinching the bridge of his nose. Ooh boy. Midna groaned in tandem with him. He was supposed to know. One of the sages said, pointing at the one standing next to him. Me. How can I know? He has the better eyes. He surely saw where they fell. The accused sage shrieked while pointing at his companion, standing at the opposite side of him. Whoa! Don't start pointing fingers, brothers. You two were the ones closer to the mirror when it exploded. I was looking the other way. A sage said, indignant. I was more worried about protecting the rock. Another added, what excuse is that? A fourth one said, coward. The chosen hero needs our help, and you others failed to give him guidance. Do not play saint with me. I was the one that introduced you to this enclave. That's bull. Silence. Utsukushi roared, silencing the loud argument of the sages in an instant. You have been sent by the goddesses. You should be able to gather the 3 pieces. By yourself? One of the sages tried saying, and failing to recover the air of wisdom he and his brothers exuded before their childish argument started. Let me guess. And be careful, as a dangerous power resides in those fragments? Naruto asked, sarcastic. Yes. A sage admitted, looking down. Figures. Why am I not surprised? Not everybody actually cares about the dangers of using ancient artifacts. They just want them to work. Midna explained, sighing. And how am I supposed to find those fragments? Even with the compass, the area we'll need to cover is fucking huge. The blonde said in despair. Then allow me to help you, master. A new voice said calmly. In answer, Naruto, Midna and the hero's shade jumped in fright as a new entity exited the master sword to stand in front of the former shinobi. And now who the hell are you? Utsukushi asked. The entity was a female-looking spirit wearing a simply purple dress with big flowing sleeves, one of which azure in color like her skin and face, that while mimicking a human one lacked actual pupils or irises in the eyes, giving it a more statue-like appearances. Your voice, it's the same I heard when I was about to leave the Master Sword in the forest. You are its spirit? Naruto asked in surprise. I am Master Naruto. My name is Phi, and I shall help you in your journey from now on, as both my duty and my gratitude in reviving me. The newly named Phi answered, giving the blonde an elegant curtsy to accompany her answer. Okay, this was unexpected. Midna admitted with a weak laugh. You don't say. Make Jiraiya's Hylian misadventures. The Zelda panties on the head incident. Hyrule Castle Town. Happens before Naruto and Midna explored the underwater temple. A solitary figure was slowly making its way through the less trafficked streets of the place while hiding in the shadows, remaining completely unseen by the population at large, so to freely mop around and brood unopposed. The shadow was no other but Jiraiya the Toad Sannin, and once again, he was in withdrawal of tits. Sure, he knew that should he ask, Telma would be happy to pose for him, as she openly admitted to find both amusing and exciting. But peeping was peeping. It had its own value and philosophy behind that could give to certain female body parts a whole new meaning. But how to do it if in all Hyrule there wasn't a single bathhouse? If it was a completely different culture, he was in not possessing the same wonders? What if I build a bathhouse myself? A temporary one specifically made for my own observation skills? The old man muttered as he stopped whining from an instant. I know how one is made from inside out thanks to my past experience and can summon clones as working force. It's a plan so crazy that it might even work. Eureka! Jiraiya exclaimed happily as the solution to his plight finally descended on him like divine enlightenment. Several hours of work later, the next day. Oh, what is this? A young, pretty brunette said as she and her friends noticed the new construction that had seemingly popped up in a single night in a more isolated corner of the town. Mixed bath? It sounds so weird. All of us bathing together. The girl's friend replied unsure. But it may be fun. Come on. It says that it will be free only for today. The first girl said, whining. At least we won't need to fear for someone peeping like we would on a spring. A woman close to the group said to her friend. None of them seemed to notice Jiraiya standing at the entrance wearing a pair of evidently fake mustaches and a cheap wig as they chatted and laughed while entering, making the Toad Sannin smile lecherously as more and more pretty girls entered his bathhouse. All above the age of consent, the author wishes to add. No underage girls/boys in here. Meanwhile, Hyrule Royal Castle, Zelda's room. The sad princess was sitting at her small table by the window to look with sad eyes the small town not far away from the castle, sometimes wondering if Midna and her companion were okay and how far they were in their mission to save Hyrule. Goddesses, please grant our heroes strength and good luck. May them free us from the embrace of twilight and bring back peace to our land. Zelda muttered her prayer with closed eyes and worried voice. It was then that she felt a chill run up her spine that made her eyes snap open. This feeling, can it be? She muttered as she ran to the window to better look outside towards Castletown. Sniff, sniff. Yes, there is no mistaking it, she said with narrowed eyes after sniffing the air twice. Few seconds later, what do you mean she escaped? Zant shrieked in fury while wildly shaking a shadow beast. Gruh, gwa, uff. The beast answered. What do you mean she has torn a shadow beast to pieces barehanded while raving about lots of pretty girls and boys naked, together and in a tight space? What does that even mean? Zant asked, confused. Streets of Hyrule Castletown. It had been a while since Zelda had the occasion to use her Sheik persona, having decided to put aside her Sheikah training when she ascended to the throne. But we were talking about pretty naked girls and boys. It still counted as emergency in her book. Apparently, Jiraiya was not the only one in withdrawal of naked flesh. This way, the masked princess muttered as her nose kept following the trail of pretty girls she could somehow sniff in the air until she reached the bathhouse, only to fall on her knees once read the description of how the thing worked on the plaque outside. My prayers have been answered. The sacred lands have appeared before me, she said in pure joy as fat tears escaped her eyes. Rapidly recomposing herself and grateful her mask stopped people from recognizing her, the masked Zelda stealthily made her way inside, following the celestial sound of giggling girls and laughing boys splashing themselves. Left or right? Girls or boys first? Oh, I can't choose, she muttered in horror as both alternatives were equally appealing. Hi. It was then that a male giggling came from the wrong side, catching the princess' attention and rightful fury. A peeping Tom? In my peeping domain? Zelda hissed furious as she moved in the direction she heard the voice to find, hidden behind a fake wall. Jiraiya sitting on a comfy chair looking at the girls bathing happily at the other side of the fake mirror occupying a wall in its entirety. You have 5 seconds to tell me what you are doing before I scream, pervert, and break the glass. The princess hissed, taking away her disguise and making the Sannin blanch instantly to look at her in horror. Princess Zelda, I presume? Jiraiya asked, already knowing the answer. Yes. And those are my tits, I mean my royal subject you were peeping on, she answered. I am sorry. I could not resist temptation. I know I was supposed to be a spy master and drag Naruto back to Konoha screaming and kicking, but they were so pretty and their nubile flesh so tantalizing and soft-looking. I need ideas for my next book, Hot for Hylian, and needed to help my muse for inspiration. The Toad Sage yelled in tears as he crawled at Zelda's feet to beg forgiveness. Book? Hot for Hylian? Zelda asked, very curious, especially since it was clearly a book that needed pretty naked girls for inspiration. This is the first draft, the old man admitted, surprised to see the woman snatch the notebook away from his hands to fervently looking through the pages. Let's say that I will let you keep peeping. Yes, Your Highness? Jiraiya asked with hope blooming inside his chest. In exchange, I will relinquish ownership of this establishment tomorrow, and for the rest of eternity, will get a free copy of the finished book. I will use this place for free and everything. I will do everything. I will also promise to never peep when you are personally inside. Jiraiya said it would cut down on research time, but he was not about to challenge the only female politician offering him free peeping. Everything you say? Zelda asked with a cruel smirk. Oh. The old super pervert only then realized to his horror how much he had fucked up with those words. Later that day, catch that pervert! A guard yelled furious. Grah! A group of shadow beasts said as they too followed said pervert, luckily unseen by the population thanks to the lack of a twilight veil covering everything. Those are my panties. They were not part of our accord. The chic-masked Zelda roared as she too gave chase. Look at me. I am Zant. I fuck goats because I am so fucking ugly and no one will ever sleep with me. And I have a tiny dick too. Jiraiya, completely naked and adequately drunk, so to both lack enough shame to do this, and do not have clear memory of the thing, so to not die of embarrassment, yelled as he ran through the various streets of the town dodging every trap or ambush trying to stop him. Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Kill him! Zant bellowed madly from the top of a near house as the masked pervert, mask being Zelda's panties, kept insinuating about the Twily's love life being centered around farm animals. Up in heaven, why are we not stopping him? Farer asked confused. I am waiting for the right moment. Din answered while looking at the scene with narrowed eyes. Which is? Neru asked as she failed to look at the scene without turning green in disgust. Are you waiting for our eyes to bleed from watching his wrinkled, but for too long? Or to see if that half-dead worm of his will ever wake up? The goddess of wisdom asked, growing disgusted from her own proposed mental images. No, I am waiting for him to run through a certain street and... Now! Din answered as her hand snapped forward sharply like a whip to make a rotten fruit roll out of a garbage bin to end under Jiraiya's naked feet, turning into a gooey paste, making him trip and fall right through the window of a shop. What shop is Kaawea? Neru's question died in her throat when a soul-freezing scream of agony pierced the air, reaching the goddess's domain as clear as if happening in front of them. That is Gertrude's Cactus Emporium, importing more than 200 different kinds of cactus from all the planet to Hyrule ever since the dawn of Castletown. And that pervert has just landed on her newly arrived stock while completely naked. The goddess of power answered with a cruel smile. A silence of pure horror fell in the goddess's realm at that, as meanwhile on the mortal plane, the more weak-hearted guards and shadow beasts kept fainting in shock once looked inside the Emporium and at Jiraiya's sorry state. Even Zant flinched once seeing the scene. You know, no mercy, sister. Farer finally said as she and Neru inched away from their sister in discomfort. Wahaha! Back in Konoha, Tsunade-sama? Shizen said unsure while looking outside the window. Hua? The woman replied, without looking away from her paperwork. It seems like there is some sort of spontaneous conga line of women running through the village. Looking at their smiles, all of them seem like they feel vindicated about something. The assistant explained, confused. Yeah, that. Something must have happened to Jiraiya. Something like that happened as well, when he decided he would have been our spy master, and it was clear he would have spent a lot of time outside Konoha. Every woman of the village above the age of 18 did the same thing. Really? Yep. They kept singing Ding Dong, the pervert is gone, for 3 days straight. Good times. Tsunade answered with a fond chuckle. Oh. Shizen could only utter an answer to that. That's it for today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you do, please leave a like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to check out author of this story. Thanks for watching. Take care.